The UFC Hall of Fame honors mixed martial artists and MMA personalities. It was founded in 2003, with MMA veterans Royce, Gracie and Ken Shamrock being the first inductees. In 2015, the UFC made changes to the selection process, which included dividing the Hall of Fame into different categories, to ensure that each era was well represented. Pioneer, Modern Era, Contributors, and Fight Wing were the categories. Because the Hall of Fame is still young, there is still room for more induction. Let's take a look at some of the top former UFC fighters who should be in the Hall of Fame. Number 5. Miesha Tate. Miesha started her UFC career with a 0-2 record, before going on a 5-fight winning streak against the best in the division, culminating in a championship win against Holly Holm at UFC 196. Miesha thus became the third women's champion in UFC history. The comeback triumph earned Performance of the Night and Comeback of the Year honors. Despite losing the title to Amanda Nunes later that year, and having a less than stellar UFC record of 5-4, her performances were greater than her win totals indicated. Tate announced her retirement in 2016, following her final fight at UFC 205. But in 2021, she suddenly returned, and as of July 2022, is still active. With only one woman in the Hall of Fame today, Ronda Rousey, it only seems right that Miesha is also being recognized as a modern champion and true pioneer of women's MMA. Number 4. Jens Pulver. Pulver's achievements are difficult to miss when looking back at the UFC's history. Pulver was not just the inaugural lightweight champion, but he was also a real pioneer in the sport's lighter weight divisions. He started his MMA career in 1999 and quickly rose through the ranks. Jens has a 7-1 record in his first 10 MMA bouts, with 5 of those victories coming via KO or TKO. Following an 11-second knockout victory over John Lewis at UFC 28, Pulver faced Caol Uno at UFC 30, which he won by unanimous decision, cementing his place in UFC history as the first ever lightweight champion. Following that, Lil Evil successfully defended his title against Dennis Hallman and BJ Penn. Due to a contract issue, Jens would then relinquish the belt and leave the UFC. Pulver should have already been inducted into the Hall of Fame, based on what he achieved early in his career. Number 3. Frank Shamrock. Former UFC light heavyweight and Strikeforce middleweight champion Frank Shamrock is arguably the UFC's biggest Hall of Fame omission. Frank represented modern-day mixed martial arts. As the sport progressed, being well-rounded in all areas was required to be the best. Shamrock excelled at that, compared to his predecessors. He won the interim King of Pancrase title, while competing in the Japanese promotion Pancrase, and at UFC Japan, he became the organization's first light heavyweight champion. Shamrock's UFC contests were all title fights, and he went undefeated at 5-0 throughout his time there. Frank successfully defended his championship 4 times, including a 1999 Fight of the Year victory over Tito Ortiz. Before retiring in 2009, Shamrock won the WEC light heavyweight title and the Strikeforce middleweight title. Number 2. Quinton Jackson. Former UFC light heavyweight champion Quinton "Rampage" Jackson is another fighter who deserves to be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. It shouldn't be up for argument if you look at his MMA exploits and the competitors he's defeated. Jackson was a feared striker with deadly power. Fighting in pride against some of the best fighters in the sport, Rampage became a big star. Top fighters such as Chuck Liddell and Kevin Randleman were defeated by Jackson. The most noteworthy of Jackson's victories was against Ricardo Arona, who was knocked out after a slam. In 2007, Rampage entered the UFC and defeated Liddell once more, this time for the UFC light heavyweight title. Jackson made history when he defeated Dan Henderson at UFC 75, unifying the light heavyweight and pride middleweight belts. Despite a 38-14 record, Jackson has not officially retired from MMA as of July 2022. Number 1. Anderson Silva. Anderson is at the top of this list of former UFC fighters who should be inducted into the Hall of Fame. His reign as UFC middleweight champion cemented his status as one of the best MMA fighters ever. Many times, Silva's fights appeared to be exhibitions due to his overpowering dominance. With the exception of his initial fights against Chael Sonnen and Chris Weidman, the Spider has had no issue defending his belt. Anderson's performances often astounded fans because of how effortlessly he knocked out opponents. Even in his light heavyweight fights, Silva played with his opponents and won convincingly. At UFC 126, Silva defeated Vitor Belfort in one of his most renowned knockouts. Silva currently owns many records in the UFC's middleweight division. Following his TKO loss to Uriah Hall in 2020, Anderson announced his retirement. If you like the content, please like and subscribe for more. Check out other incredible achievements and charismatic personalities on my channel, link on the screen somewhere and in the description.